Hello, everyone. I am Sam Eckmann with Gold Derby, and I'm here with Natalie Gold from Appropriate, the hit play on Broadway. And Natalie, you have kind of moved from one dysfunctional family on Succession to another dysfunctional family on Broadway with this
hmm
show, which seems to just be kind of a place of rife with creative potential here. What do you think it is about that kind of family drama that is so enticing to us all and enticing to
I
play as an
mean,
actor?
I think it's all I'm switching glasses so I can see you. Excuse me. Dramatic. I think it's all it all stems from the writing, obviously, and I think all great dramas are based in dysfunctional families, really. I think we all see ourselves in all of the characters in somehow some way, and I think maybe there's part of us that are relieved that we get to watch it instead of that be our family, or maybe we see our own families there. But it's kind of the basis of every great drama or comedy is a family dysfunction. And I
Hmm.
think the family dysfunction is the one thing that Succession, of course, and Appropriate have in common. And I think also the other thing they have in common is both writers, and obviously there was a team of writers on Succession, but Brandon as well. They have compassion for their characters. They may not be the greatest people in the world, and they're certainly problematic. But there's great compassion there as well. They're humans. They're real people with flaws and all. Yeah,
Yeah, there's certainly flaws in this script, which I wanted to talk about because
so good.
you play Rachel, who's
Yeah,
married to Corey Stoll's character Bo, and there is a deep history between these two and a love between them, but they're
yeah,
also capable of being quite nasty to each other sometimes and don't always say the right thing to one another. Um,
yeah.
uh, can you talk a little bit about creating that relationship with Corey and kind of navigating the extremes of it?
Yeah, it felt Corey and I have talked about this before. It felt inherently, I hate to say it, incredibly easy to create that marriage and intimacy. He is such a wonderful, generous actor. So this whole cast just beautifully melded together as a family in a way that you who can predict that would happen. But with Corey and I and Lila and Brandon, we spent a really long time um, working on the fact that these two people are in a functional marriage actually, and love each other very much, and their family, their kids. And so there's a scene towards the end of the play that Corey and I have. It's the only time that we're on stage, just the two of us together. And we worked that scene at such a delicate balance so many times because my character is calling him out on and the family out on a lot of things. And it's the one time in the play Corey starts, not Corey, Bo starts to kind
Mhm.
of defend the family or align with the siblings. And we really threaded that needle because Lila and we and Brandon didn't want anybody in the audience to leave the play worried about their marriage. We know they're going to make it. We know they're going through something, but they're going to be okay. Um, and the last image of the play, not the last image of the play, sorry, with one of the last images of the play before the beautiful epilogue is okay if I spoil stuff? Is that bad? Or should I say stay away from spoily?
Well, it's still running. It's we can
Still
leave the
running.
epilogue
Yeah.
for people,
Okay. Yeah. But it's a moment of intimacy between this husband and wife, um, and her comforting him. So that was really important to us. That whatever happens during the course of the play, we want to know that they're okay. They're going to work through this, and they'll be okay.
Yeah. You kind of described it as threading a needle. I feel like that's a very as an audience member, seems like it would be an apt description for the entire thing, because
Yeah,
the tone of of the piece is so wild. And Lila, who you mentioned, the director, you've worked with her before
yeah,
on a few projects. Did that kind of previous history together help you do that kind
yes,
of delicate balancing act?
immensely. Yes, Lila is one of my favorite directors and collaborators and people of all time, and I trust her implicitly. Um, and she has a beautiful way of seeing each character as the protagonist of the story. And so immediately, I think I came in with a sense of who Rachel was, and then beautifully realized I had no idea who she was. And we worked on that and built that together as a cast, and very much with Lila, but kind of, I think I came in with some probably predetermined judgments about her, which I had to completely let go of, um, and allow myself to give her humanity and status, and the ability to really try to keep it together until she can't keep it together anymore, which is a much more interesting arc for the character and for the play, I think. And Lila, um, she threads every needle so beautifully with every character, um, and just allowing everybody to own their point of view and allow the characters to be right in their point of view in that moment. Um, yeah, she's
Yeah.
she has a beautiful eye and collaborative sense of play and taste, and yeah, I
Which I think you need
love
for this
working with
play.
her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you have some very explosive moments with Sarah
yeah,
Paulson. There's quite a
yes,
rivalry there. Her character Tony just
yes,
says some really despicable things to Rachel and basically kind of casts her as like an outsider of her own
yeah.
family. What was that like, taking on that dynamic with her and having those scenes going toe to toe?
I mean, she's one of my favorite actresses of all time, and even more so now getting to stand on stage with her. She's incredible, and we kind of talked about it off stage. I mean, we worked through all of those moments, and we continue to work through all of those scenes because she does eviscerate me, but then I really eviscerate her, and I say incredibly cruel things to her. Or Rachel says them to Tony, and it's beautiful because one thing we talked about is there's an offstage dynamic where everybody in the cast is so close and there's so
Mhm.
much laughter and jokes and joyousness going on. So I feel like it's amazing in a way that with Sarah and I, the more comfortable we have gotten just as friends and people, it's almost easier to play the going toe to toe because you just feel, God, she's gonna give it every night, and I want to give it right back. And it's actually quite fun and cathartic because it's very clear. It's hard to be mad at each other. We like each other very much, but in the play, we get to be.
Yeah, it's super cathartic to watch too, because like everyone gets, I think, to snap back at her character a little bit, but you
Yeah.
really get to not only eviscerate her vocally, but you have a full-on fight scene together.
Yes. Yes.
Um, how long did it take to get all that choreography down to look and feel realistic?
It took a while. I mean, it definitely took uh well into the rehearsal process, and then changed, of course, when we got onto the actual stage and then into previews. Um yeah, it all changed quite a bit, but it was it yeah, there's something we do, Sarah and I, that I don't know how to describe what we do. It's kind of, we just do something that there's no language for it. It's perfectly safe. It's just something that's now so inherent in our bodies that I think, yeah, it's what we do and it's working. So that has kind of stayed. The one thing I didn't realize Corey and I both, we had read the play obviously many times, but we had never really done the fight in the rehearsal room in a run. And so the first time we did it in a run at the theater, when we were at the Helen Hayes, which was a dress rehearsal, we were like, oh, we do this fight. We're super out of breath. The lights go out. Corey and I run backstage, pick up suitcases, run up a flight of stairs, and then run downstairs. And I speak for about 10 minutes. And the first time we did that, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I knew this was happening, but I didn't clock this was happening actually. And so the first couple of weeks, I think I was like, and then I've caught my breath on that finally. Yeah.
Quite a
Yeah.
workout.
Or can use it. I mean, the adrenaline of the fight helps in the next scene, but that next scene is about trying to pull it together a little bit. But yeah, it's a
Sure.
workout. It's a
Yeah.
workout.
And it's one of, I mean, many examples in this show and Brandon's script where something ostensibly awful is happening and very dramatic, and yet the audience is laughing. There's a lot of like dark humor to these moments of
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm laughing at something really bad. Is that
Yeah.
kind of a tricky tone to navigate for you as an actor and as your cast? What was that process?
I think we could not have been prepared for the audience reaction until we had the audience reaction. There was just no preparation for that. And then they run the gamut so much. And Brandon kind of said it best that Brandon said this play is really a Rorschach test. And so there are some reactions that are consistent every night, and there's some that are wild. Sometimes the audience fights with each other about the reactions that they're having, and it's kind of fantastic. But I think in terms of Lila set the tone so much, and Brandon did as well, which is just play the truth. We're not playing anything for laughs, and that the laughter is part of the uncomfortability. It's part of Brandon allowing them a moment of release before bringing it back to feeling kind of complicit. He weaves it so beautifully, and things that are said that just kind of fly by will come back 20 minutes later, and then you will hear the audience go, whoa, maybe they didn't clock it at first, but they're going to clock it now.
Yeah.
So it's all of our own complicity about what's going on. He does that beautifully. But I think up there, what we're trying to do is just, no matter who the audience is, who is a character in the play, 100%, but we continue to just play the truth. We hope.
And yeah, the thing about the audience that intrigued me was when I saw it after the show was done, conversations start around you in the audience of, about what we just saw. And as I'm overhearing people, it's like everyone is focused on a different theme, a different story thread that resonated really loudly to them, because I think this play just contains so much. Have you been privy to any of that kind of conversation of people saying, oh, this is what I think the play is about over here?
Absolutely. People are, yeah, people, I mean, I've been privy to kind of all the conversations
Mm,
about every character of, I think, Michael Esper, who is so beautiful as Franz in this play. There's something that he did. Does people have conversations of, does he really want to change? Does he not? Sarah Paulson, who plays Tony so beautifully, it's well, I see myself in her. Well, I'm that person in my family, or she was just in a lot of pain with my character. Some people say, thank you for being the voice of reason, or when you unleash, we really needed that. And I mean, it's funny to me because I don't see myself as the voice of reason in that play too. I see myself kind of spiraling down into till I eventually unleash hell and vitriol onto Sarah's character. So everybody has their moments of being completely awful and unreasonable. But I think everybody sees themselves in all of that somehow,
Totally.
some
And,
way, and has different interpretations of, yes, this is what definitely happened, and this is the how, it's about the siblings coming home to their father's estate and questions about the father, and the father was definitely this and definitely that, and people have different interpretations, and that's up to them to decide,
yeah.
for sure.
And you mentioned the Hayes before. This started at second stage at the Hayes and
Yeah.
was so successful. We've now transferred to a bigger theater, the Belasco. Do you does it feel different to you performing in a larger space? Like what has that done to the play so far?
Yeah, it feels wildly different, and we're in our second week right now. So we're still feeling it out very much. It's the exact same set. We have a beautiful new actress with us now, Ella Beatty, who's taken over the role of River because Elle Fanning had a movie and couldn't do the transfer. So that's wildly different as well in a beautiful way. And that theater, the Belasco, it's so gorgeous and it feels bigger. It feels much more vast. The Hayes, we loved it. And it's called the Little Theater and it's so intimate. And I think the audience is crammed in really tightly together. And there's something about the Belasco that feels kind of wider. Yeah, I think we're all learning the new space. And again, same set, but it feels like, is this wider? Do I feel farther? I think the audience feels a little farther. So I think it's us trying to maintain the intimacy that we've built in this world and allow the audience in, even though they feel further away. So we're working on it still, but it's wonderful. It's also kind of amazing to see people, so many people come and get to see Brandon's work in this great, big, beautiful theater.
Yeah. Well, you've had it's kind of like a back-to-back string of these incredible hits for you because Succession is such a rare like zeitgeist type of event. And then Appropriate, it's also rare to have a Broadway play that becomes this successful and generates this much excitement. So has this made you think about like the future differently? Like what comes next? What is kind of like, moving you and exciting you about, looking into the future?
I mean, I to me, it's always great writing. That's what always moves me um, about everything. Great writing. The success of something is so unpredictable. It's trying to take any job based on that is a lifetime of, I don't know, chaos and misery. I think because who can predict what people respond to? It's really hard to know. But for me personally, it's always just starts with the writing, and then of course the chance to work with collaborators and creative people, actors, directors, writers, that I admire and make me better. And I hope to bring, not that I make them better, but that we can make each other, lift each other up. The best part of all of this for me is the community, um, and found that very much on Succession, um, which we got to do over a number of seasons, and really feel that so much on Appropriate. It's a beautiful community of people working so hard together to make something that turned to life, that was written so beautifully. But this cast and crew is exceptional. So the community of that is all I hope for. So
Well,
that's,
hopefully there's more going forward.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Congratulations on a very successful run here with Appropriate. And for everyone watching, make sure you stick with us at Gold Derby for the rest of this season. Natalie, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much, Sam. I appreciate it.